tricky once you get the numbers, because then something happens in your mind where you're like, oh, this thing that I made works and now I can make more of it. But then what you create changes to get the numbers. If I was trying to make a full-time living just out of that, purely out of my own social media, I would really have to check in with myself about how do I feel that I'm creating something just for it to go viral. And the tricky thing with YouTube is that it doesn't matter your video, it matters the title and the thumbnail that you create for that video. I can make a banger video and tell a really good story. And after all those thoughts and thinking, then I have to spend more time thinking about the title and the thumbnail. And I just get frustrated because so much of the result comes from that.
Christian, the human Chris, is a self-taught filmmaker and content creator who has built an audience of tens of thousands of people. His videos include topics such as mental health challenges, relationships, and traveling adventurously. In over a decade of making videos, both for clients and for himself, he has learned a lot about video making. And lately, after a big creative burnout, Chris has been refocusing on talking about the human experience from his perspective and share learnings and also both the challenges and the positive sides of content creation. We chose Chris as a guest because he's a self-taught creator who has managed to turn his passion into a full-time occupation. And he's very honest about what it means to actually living as a video maker and content creator. And also, we love his take about emotions and the way he approaches his closest relationships, including co-living with two of his best friends, whom we call platonic life partners. And last but not least, he's been a big supporter of Question Everything from day zero. He's even helped us with editing the trailer video that you probably have seen online. We really wanted to show you this conversation because that's the type of conversation that we would have with Chris and other similar friends, but just off camera. And if you stick with us, you will see that he talks about facing the challenges, doing things even when you have fears, overcoming burnout and refocusing on things that really matter to you. We also got practical into creating content and videos on YouTube right now and why the content itself is good and necessary, but it's not enough to actually be found on YouTube. We also speak about relationships. As I mentioned before, he has a very interesting take about close relationships and he has strong bonds with his best friends. And we talk about his journey. He's very honest and vocal about what it means to be a content creator, including the downsides, including financial problems, how to find your audience, how to find work, how to understand what is good work for you. So if you stick around, you will see a lot of good insights from this conversation with Chris. And as always, we hope you enjoy it and welcome back to Question Everything.
We're here with Chris.
We're here.
I was looking forward to this conversation for a long time. I'm so glad that you said yes, you accepted.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
It is a funny story. Also, how you and I met. We met through Ono, very good friend of both of us.
Yes, a mutual friend of ours. But then also, it was so funny to meet and be like, I know you from somewhere, but we've never met.
I still remember that we were talking, we helped Ono move into the new flat, and then we're like, I think I saw you before. Both of us had the impression we saw each other before. We had known each other from before. We couldn't figure out how. Then we swapped numbers, and I remember the same weekend you sent me a message. This voice note saying, I figured it out. I know what else.
Because we met first at a park. Yeah. And then afterwards, which was for Anna and Eva's birthday, our friends. And then from there, we met each other at Anna's moving kind of like day. And then we were still like, oh, we know how we met.
And then was that all last year? It was last year, yeah, June last year. May or June.
Yeah.
And then Chris sends me this voice note saying, I figured it out, man, I figured it out. You're not gonna believe this. I saw you. And the message cuts. So
I actually forgot about that.
And I'm working with a friend of mine, Flamina was visiting, and I was like, wait a second, just I replay the message like 3 times, and literally the message cuts when you're saying, and I'm thinking, are you a marketing genius? That you're like
this,
clickbaiting me into something.
You're like, this guy really knows it.
Yes, exactly. And then we figured out, like, and then you sent me another voice note, and then you said, okay, I saw your almost on interview with Supergloss with Lina.
Yes.
And then you had seen the interview.
Yes.
And I still couldn't figure out where I saw you. And then one day, maybe a month later, I'm looking with Leah, another good friend of us, and I've sent this video to Leah, to Flamina, to another friend of mine. It was your video with Karam, where you talk about platonic friendship.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
like 6 months before that I'd sent it to some of my best friends saying like, you know, you see these guys, like they're talking about this love relationship, but platonic because you're not romantic couples, but you live together and you share so much. And I was, no shit, this is you. And then I sent you the video.
It's when we both found each other on the internet and we didn't know where we had seen each other.
How crazy.
No, that was really, really cool. And like happy we both eventually realized where we like saw each other. I was on a date with someone recently and we were talking because she's a producer and we were talking about music and stuff. And I told her that I have a friend who like runs this platform called The Home of Sound. And she was like, really kind of impressed by the whole platform. So I just wanted to give you like a little information by someone who you don't know that kind of like the platform is growing even maybe in ways that you don't know about. And it was just cool to meet someone and then they know already about it. And they're like, I think they bought a few courses or something and they're like exchanging them with their friends or something. So
that's so nice.
Yeah.
It is so nice.
Yeah. Like,
No, thank you for sharing that. I very often like think about that of you creating something and the lack of feedback doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't matter for people.
Yeah.
Especially because it's online, so you have no control or no visibility on who is watching, who is being touched by whatever you're putting online. You do a lot of videos.
Yeah.
You share a lot of your personal life, learnings, practical things, inspiring things. There is a person that is on the other side of the world, in New Zealand, that is watching that and is being inspired and maybe changing something about their life that you might not ever know about it. That's great, you know?
Yeah. That's the power of the internet. And sometimes you want to hear the feedback and you want to know what's happening, but sometimes it's like 2 years down the road, someone messaged you be like, hey man, those videos that you made were so good. And you're like, oh, thank God. Like, I'm really happy someone watched them. And they weren't for nothing. Yeah. I had like a similar experience recently where I found an LP, a record of someone who like I had no idea about, and I listened to the whole thing. I'm like, this is the best electronic LP that I've ever heard. And I go on their Instagram, and it's like this person who is in like 50s or 60s, has like 1,000 followers, like, you know, basically not known. And I was just sent him a voice message. I was like, man, that like LP in 1989, that hit so good. You know, and then like imagine what's that like for them to receive that message for something that they made so long ago and people are still discovering it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I started doing that every time I'm touched by someone's work. I send them a message.
Yeah,
if
it's
I don't
so
know
easy.
them.
It's so easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how much value I get out of it. So I'm sure like if hopefully he gets to see that message one day, he still hasn't seen it. But he can make his day brighter a little bit by it.
Yeah. And related to that, I think we're discussing before this conversation, you were recently talking about your becoming, turning 28 and then going for 29, eventually 30. And one of the big things was we wanted to ask you, like, what's next for you? What are you setting as a goal for turning 29?
Let's see. I mean, I went to creative burnout last year and it was difficult because we were talking before this, because I place so much like value and importance in the work that I do over the last few years and like getting really better, and so that my work can have an impact outside of it just being fun and creative and interesting. And I focused most of my like life and 20s on that. And after going through creative burnout, I realized, you know, it's like kind of like a period where you just like, you don't want to do anything. Like you don't want to touch any part of the creative process. Anytime you start it, you just feel this weight on you, and you just don't want to be involved in it at all. So you just have to like rest so much and do so much other stuff in life to kind of figure out something else exciting in life. And
Can you briefly explain what a creative burnout is? Like,
yeah,
you're physically okay and you function in the quote unquote normal world, but your creative process is stuck and you just can't get work done?
Okay, so I would kind of explain it as if you have something kind of like exciting going on in your life, and I think for me that was work, because also for me work is also like my hobby. So eventually my hobby of taking photos and making videos became my work, which is what I wanted to do. It was something that I was like looking forward every day to, you know, wake up and get better at and meet more people who were in it. And it was like this interest that I could always come back to, and kind of like it would always fill me up with new information and excitement. And I think there were like 2-3 years where I was just doing so much. I was like, I can take on more and more and more. And I had a company, and then I was still a freelancer, and then I was doing projects just for fun on the side. And I think my calendar was so full that after a certain point, like all of that creative juice just got squeezed out. And I slowly over time felt that I didn't have it in me to show up to the conversation, to the project, there was no spark of idea of anything for me to make. I didn't have anything to say anymore. So I think when I kind of like felt this like heaviness of, I think all of us in any creative process, we have like resistance. So even though we love our crafts or we love what we do, there are days where we just show up and you're like, fuck this, dude. I don't want to finish this. I don't want to do this today. But like somehow you manage to get through it. When you're really going through creative burnout, which is what I felt, is you just feel so much like weight, and this resistance becomes like heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier, to where you don't see a purpose of doing anything. You don't see a reason for it. You don't get anything from it. So there's no reason for you to do it. So that's kind of how I felt. And it was really weird for me to have something that I loved so much, and out of nowhere, or not out of nowhere, but like eventually get to a point where I'm just like, I don't fucking care. I don't
and you
want
were
to do
saying
it.
it didn't happen all of a sudden, but was gradually over time creeping up on you?
Yeah. Just as my calendar was getting stacked and piled up, and I was doing more and more, which I was always excited about doing more. I was always wanted to learn how to make better videos, take better photos, be better at storytelling, at color grading, at sound, at all of it. And I just think at some point I was just doing too much for too many years. And even though there was excitement behind it, eventually the excitement started to die and it became very repetitive. It became all the same. And I was trying to do like exciting stuff on the side, but I think at some point I really squeezed the juice out of that fruit, and I just did not want to be involved. So I just felt like heaviness and weight, and kind of felt like every day when you wake up, just you don't want to do anything. Like you just don't want to do anything with your day. And so, yeah.
Was it the first time for you to feeling something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I think kind of like a little context to that is I finished school when I was 18. I never had the ambition or passion to like study anything. I think for me, my teenage years were like punk rock, skateboarding, metal. Like, so I was just like anti-system, but also like just starting to meditate. So I was like, I think I know what I want, and I don't want to be in school. But then the solution was to just work and trying to find a hobby that I could get better at, and over time make that hobby the work. But that took a lot of time and a lot of just like commitment to that one thing. Yeah.
So I saw this video of you where you talk about like, I think post-birthday, some goals that you set for the next year and everything. Does that somewhat come from the situation you were stuck in, like approaching a new year with more mindfulness and more clarity about the things you want to focus on and maybe the things you want to say no to?
I think so, yeah. Saying no is a difficult one. Especially like, I mean, if you like live in a cool city like Berlin and there's so many cool opportunities and cool people, you feel like by saying yes, you can take more and you can learn more and you can have like more interesting situations. And I still believe in that. I still believe people should say more yes than they say no's. But I'm definitely at a point where I'm like, and that's, I think, my strength, and my friends see that in me, is like, I am very good at saying no and like doing exactly what I wanted to do that day. And sometimes that's like, yeah, I just want to do some creative projects or make music or edit some videos instead of like hanging out or going to a bar. Yeah. But like setting intentions for the year 29, I don't remember exactly. I mean, I know the video that you're talking about, but I don't know what I said, to be completely honest with you, or what intentions I set for the next year. But I think my intention is always to kind of keep life interesting by doing more of the stuff that I'm interested in and always making time for it and not making excuses for that. Like today, I had to do work, but instead I was so much more curious about opening an AirTag so I can remove the speaker, so I can find a way to put it in my bike, and that I can like find a way kind of to track my bike without having a bike insurance. You know, like I have these like little side hustles and side interests that I need to go after them. Otherwise I'm going to be stuck in the monotone of every day.
So it's such an interesting thing because when you say that, this is something that I personally try to resist a lot from. Like I call it, distractions. So let's say you said today was your day. I'm sure you had a lot of things in your agenda.
Yeah.
And then you have a new thing that pops up.
Yeah.
They might not be as meaningful as working on the bigger project, but you feel that is very helpful for you. You have a good relationship with doing that thing, with doing the distraction.
I would say it's helpful because of two things. Because I am very good at not procrastinating. I think during the day in general, when it comes to having the tasks to do and, having like certain things to do during that day, I think I'm really good at doing them. And then at the end of the day, scrolling and watching YouTube videos and Instagrams, like Reels. I'm really good at that. And I also realized, for example, today that this week and last week, I've been working like a fucking horse. So I can need to cut myself like a little bit of slack and be like, I can do a little side project. Like I don't have a strict deadline by tomorrow. But I also create these like deadlines for myself sometimes because I need them. But like I've been doing a lot. Like I can like do a little side project today for like a little bit. And sometimes that like rolls off into a bit more. But I'm good at disciplining myself and be like, okay, but then today, like now you have to sit down. Now we have to really do this.
How did you get good at not procrastinating? I think a lot of people would wish to say the same.
I realize this because I had a friend visit recently from Bulgaria. I was born in Bulgaria, but I was raised in Cyprus. And I only have really one friend from Bulgaria, which is who I went to kindergarten with. And she recently came to Berlin, like last weekend. And we were just talking and reflecting, and she was like, you used to be a bit of a maniac when it comes to discipline. And I think I didn't realize it. We used to go on snowboarding trips like every January. And she told me that there was like one time that we went and we were like in our cabin, we were like talking about life, we were catching up because we only see each other like once a year. We were catching up, and at some point I looked at my phone apparently and I realized it's 1 a.m. and I got depressed because I realized it's too late and tomorrow morning I'm not gonna be able to do my morning routine before snowboarding. I'm not gonna be able to meditate or work out or like take a cold shower. Like I used to have like a very strict morning routine. And I got like almost like, I'm using the word lightly, like depressed that I would not be able to do my morning routine. And it's funny to talk to her and be like, what the fuck? Like I'm with my friend, I'm seeing once a year and I'm being depressed that like, sort of sad that I'm not able to do my morning routine because we're having meaningful conversations until 1 a.m. I think I just got obsessed with like improving myself and like taking care of myself to a bit too high of a degree. And I think that also came from like little mini heartbreaks and realizing, instead of investing my time into relationships, this is not healthy, by the way. Instead of investing my time into relationships, I can invest so much of this work and love and effort into myself. But then I think I took that to the extreme. So I think a lot of years of that, like I was thinking this morning, I had 3 years where every single day I woke up, meditated, worked out, took a cold shower, and I didn't eat until like 3 p.m. so I can like fast. And now like I do half of that because it's okay. And I'm just in a different like phase of life and other shit happen and like I just can't keep up with that routine.
I mean, 3 years, 3 years sounds like a long time, but from my personal experience, when I think about it, it's probably not a bad thing to start in a more extreme way and then slowly but surely like adjust your level.
Yeah.
A couple of times I think I did the same thing. I made radical changes and then over time just experimented a little bit to see, okay, maybe I can go a bit more easy with this. I go a bit more easy with that. And then over time it feels more healthy and I can actually enjoy it instead of like being obsessed about doing it.
Yeah. I'm curious, what are you two obsessed about? Like sometimes even to an unhealthy level. Is there something?
Oh, that's a good question. Go first.
I resonate a lot with what you just said because I think I had your period of hyper intense productivity to the detriment of my relationships for probably 6 years in London, at least 6 years. And so when I moved to London 2013, and I would say until the end of 2019, I've gotten to a point where many things happened, but I'll give you the gist. And I was sleeping 4.5 to 6 hours maximum every night, fasting once or twice a week, and going to sport 4 to 5 times a week, and drinking a lot of caffeine. I was basically like running on caffeine. Like I would just, I would fall asleep in the most, like on the bus. I would just pass out because I was basically exhausted and hyper productive. London also pushes, or let's say it's very supportive of that way of living compared to Berlin.
Very true.
But I got into a point where a lot of my close friends would tell me, man, I never see you. Even when you're there, you're not there. You're thinking about the next thing. Everything is so booked in your life that you're never present. You are never showing up for your friends. And I was very similar to you. Like I would say, oh shit, it's like 1:15. I should have gone home 15 minutes ago. And I would start feeling resentment over myself. I would cut the conversation, even if I was enjoying myself. This is like not part of my fun time, so I need to go back home because tomorrow I was waking up at 4:45 a.m. Like, crazy shit to do music, sport, cold shower, meditation before going to my day job. And it sucked. Like looking back, I'm also with you because it was very important for me to, I've learned a lot of stuff. I also learned that was too much, but it fucking sucked for my, like, I don't know how my friends were my friends. I was in a relationship for 3.5 years. She suffered so much. Like I was a shitty partner for that reason. Imagine just overworking myself to that. And then our one-to-one time was usually talking about, we had a business together, so it was always talking about business. And
you had a business with your partner?
Yeah. Just to make it even more efficient,
Yeah.
So you overlapped like the relationship.
No time wasted.
No time wasted, yeah. It sucked. And luckily my friends were very supportive, but they told me, man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I was obsessed with this stuff. And very similar to you, I have a follow-up question for later, but I had to realize, am I happy with this? Like, what am I losing to try to be productive? And then when it took me a while to figure out, probably 3 or 4 years to really figure out why did I chase being productive as opposite to being more relaxed and then spending more time with my friends. It was a huge journey. And when I discovered that, it was easier for me to actually let go of all this, I think, bullshit that I was going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think to a certain degree, it's like, it's good and it's healthy that you can be so obsessed about like stuff that matters, like taking care of yourself or working on your music or your passions and ambitions. But then also realizing to a point where it's like, okay, like I am like way overdoing it. But it's interesting to also observe one have this much like ambition and care and drive maybe is the right word, to put all of this energy into themselves.
For me, when you asked that question, I really had to think about it for quite a bit. I think now what I'm striving a lot more for is quite the opposite of obsession and rather finding balance. Like, because in many phases of my life, I feel I was obsessed with something. Like either that's building up a career or falling into a love relationship or optimizing my health to the craziest degree possible. And looking back at it, at some point I realized that whenever I'm overly obsessed with one thing, it immediately has a negative impact on other stuff. I mean, which is kind of logical.
Yeah.
So I'm overly obsessed with my career and I have a very competitive mindset, or I used to have a very competitive mindset. So I get obsessed with winning and beating competition and, all these things, and nothing else matters. Like nothing else matters. I wake up, first thing on my mind is, okay, how can we outperform competition? Yeah. But then if you look back at it after one year, like I've not taken care of my health, I've not taken care of my friendships and nothing. Right. And now I think for the last few years, I'm actually proactively pushing myself not to become too obsessive with one thing or the other thing, but always making sure that whenever I drift away into one direction too much, I pull myself back into some sort of center.
It's tricky because I feel like there's something so good about being obsessed about something, and at the same time, it still comes with a cost. right? And sometimes I wished some of my friends were obsessed as I am about something so that they can like then benefit after that like obsession time from it. But everyone has different tempo and momentum. Everyone has different values. Like everyone has different ways that they want to spend their time. And
yeah, I mean,
things.
that's such a good thing to say, because when I look back, this kind of temporary obsession I had got me a long way. Like I wouldn't want to make it any different in retrospect. But as you said, you need to be aware that it comes at a cost. And even more so, I think you need to be aware for how long you should be doing this, or you are willing to do this, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Or like, when do you start to feel like, okay, this is not impacting me healthily anymore? Like now it's, now we're going down, you know, in some other aspect of life.
And perhaps there's a fourth variable that was going to be my next question, which is, why are you obsessed? I think that matters a lot to me, because the underlying reason why you're obsessed can be a very healthy reason, or can be coping mechanism. Do you know why you were so obsessed with being productive and achieving something?
I mean, like probably a few things. I think it started with like being kind of like 18 and having like a little thing with someone, and then not working out and being so heartbroken that I was like, okay, instead of investing my time into relationships, again, unhealthy, I'm going to invest it into something that can never go away, that the progress can never kind of like go down to what the imaginable things, like relationships. Like if it, breaks, and then you're just like, oh, this is all like a waste of time, what you think initially. So I was like, let me invest as much of the time as possible into myself, into skills that will never go away. It's, investing into me. So that was like definitely one at first. Second was, I think I had these like interests, which is like using a camera for a long time. And I realized I actually really, really like this. Like I could just do more of it. Like, and that could be my thing. I love teaching myself things. So I knew that about myself. So I was like, okay, let me just do more of it. And maybe the third kind of obsession is because I didn't have an education, or in sort of say like a higher education, because then I decided to move out of home, of the island, to go somewhere bigger, into a bigger city where I didn't know anyone. Then I was like, okay, like I think now it's a challenge to have to like build my life almost say from the ground. And I feel like that was an obsession to just see. I think there's an obsession to seeing progress into something that you like, and almost like to building something. So it was just cool to see that like the more time that I put into it, the more places that I can go with it. And you're just like, I don't know where the limit is, so I can just keep going. So yeah, definitely both a mix of healthy and an unhealthy obsession. And that was something that I had to wonder and ask myself when I went through burnout. I was like, what was my real motivation behind all of this? Because I think if I had asked myself what was my motivation, it was to be better at making art so that it can benefit me in my life and benefit others in their life. Because I really believe that art is super powerful in ways that words can't communicate. And I think that if I had asked myself, I would have answered that. But I think now, if I had to think about it, what was really going on subconsciously, what I really couldn't answer was the unhealthy parts of it, was to prove myself, was to be someone, to become something out of nothing, sort of say. So, yeah.
Now, post burnout, what gives you peace now?
What gives me peace? I guess spending my day and my time the way I want to. I am coming back to creative work with kind of similar, but again, newfound kind of inspiration and energy. And I am very fortunate to be working with my friends on projects that like pay my rent and support my lifestyle, which I feel incredibly fortunate to be doing. And it just gives me really purpose. To know that the work that we're doing is more than just commercial work. We're not just creating pretty visuals that sell products. We're starting a conversation that isn't just going on in our circle, but is really going on like to anyone who watches it and their groups of people. And for me, that is actually more important than having money that I'll be saving to use for other stuff. I think that's actually one thing that I realized about myself that I'm trying to work and get better at. I've always chosen in life fulfillment than security and then safety. like 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I've always chosen that. And sometimes I feel like I should be doing it differently because everyone has savings and everyone has a safe job. And like now approaching my 30s, I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for like 10 years. I feel like I should have a lot more savings and investments and be a smarter adult. Then I'm like, yo, every day I get to do what I want. I get to wake up what I want. I get to spend my day doing what I want, almost, but you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I wake up the next day, I'm like, let's go. I have a drive to do better work because of that freedom.
Can you talk a little bit more about the concept of working with friends? I feel it's such a controversial topic. Some people will say the last thing you should do is doing business with friends and family.
Yeah.
Other people only work with friends and family.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're in the latter camp.
The business that I had that I'm closing this year, or like last year, but it takes about a year to close, was something that I kind of like got into because of a friend or because someone that I met. And then later on, he sold me the company because he wasn't interested in it anymore. And I think that was my first really experience working with someone who was a friend, but also was not a business partner, but like a colleague, sort of say. And we definitely had disagreements, but he was the right person. I think I couldn't be able to work with everyone. Everyone has a different kind of like timeline and routine and schedule and stuff. And I think you just have to be able to trust someone that the work will be done in some amount of time that you kind of agree on. Especially if it's work that is like paid for or just someone else, it's not just like a passion project. And I think the relationship that I have with him taught me so much because it taught me that we can have the same interest and hobby and yet do very good quality work for someone else and be paid for it. But then we still have to be like, hey, do you want to like hang out and go for coffee? Like not forget that we have a friendship outside of this, because if you're doing it with that person every single day, it can become just about that. So speaking on that, now I'm in a situation where I am again working with one of my best friends who I actually live with. And one of the things when he approached me with this project that we talked about, and we have really clear and open communication about stuff, was like, I really want to do this with you. Let's just not forget that we're friends in the first place. Like, fuck the work. Let's first be friends, and then the work happens. But I think we're good because with the work and with the communication, because also, I guess we just like feel light in it. It feels like we can, if I'm not feeling good today, and I am like, I can't deliver on my best today, my best is different from what it was yesterday, I can tell him that and be like, hey, like I can't today, like I'm just somewhere else, and he'll be like, totally get it. Like, I think we have that trust in each other because we've shown to each other that we can have a balance and deliver what has to be delivered on time, and yet we can give each other like the slack when there needs to be like given slack. Yeah. Are you two working together on this project? And this is the first time you were together on something?
I think it's at least the second time.
I think it's the second time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's second time because we organized birthday festival with two very close friends of ours.
Birthday festival.
Yeah, last year in June, and that was such a good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a good experience. Like all in all, like the festival was exceptional in terms of like emotions and experience. Hosting 100 of our closest friends and their plus ones into a castle for 4 days was like spectacular. You know, like top event in lifetime. Really, really beautiful.
Wow.
And I would say at the same level, the lead up of this 8 months of work, because we made the decision kind of toward the end of October 2023, and then the festival was in June. The working and kind of having the weekly appointments, sometimes on Zoom, sometimes in person, that was equally fun and beautiful for us, for co-organizers, to do this thing together and split the tasks and working on the things that you practically need to do for the festival. It was such a beautiful experience that kind of naturally we decided that, okay, this could work. We gave it a shot.
Yeah. It can almost be bonding in a way, right? Like then you become also, as a result of it, better friends, because you know that you can trust each other for doing these things.
That's the upside nobody talks about.
Yeah,
Everyone's
that's
only about friendships are ruined over money and business. But on the other side, it's been such an experience.
It can, if you act out of your emotions in the way that you like you react out of your emotions, then it can ruin your friendships for sure.
There's the other part that you alluded to, which is with your friend and flatmate, the fact that I think this overlap of when you interact, you inevitably will talk about the business. And that's my biggest fear, is that can easily eat in our friendship time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I think we discussed before starting this. You and I very clearly, I said, this is one of my concerns. And I did the same with my other two, let's say, co-founders, collaborators for other things. That and now I've had maybe 10 years of experience of working with one of my best friends and ex-partner. And the biggest struggle that we have at this point in our life, after working 11 years together, is we're together physically. We don't live in the same city. We fucking talk about this, like the platform and the business, almost all the time. It's like when things go really well, you feel light, you don't talk. But if there's something that is like bugging one of us or both of us, you are at dinner, you talk about that thing. You wake up, you talk about the thing. You do sport together, you talk about the thing. That's super hard.
It's hard because you both care so much about it.
Yeah.
And like you want to continue getting better at it, and it's bonding, but you realize after a few months, like this is all we talk about. Like we don't really talk about anything else. For me, luckily with Karam, we live together. I mean, luckily, like yes, which can for some people make things more difficult. But I have pretty good boundaries. Like I've pissed him off a few times where like I didn't do something on the weekend or something, or like for sure, yeah. But then I'm just like, sorry, like I just don't.
Which I think is a great way. I think setting boundaries, it's even, so I think at the level of maturity that we all have, it's easier to me to set boundaries than to create kind of light-minded occasions to enjoy each other without talking about work. So it's easier if you say to me, oh, I don't know, just work on the weekend. I can say, no, this is my weekend off. I need time for me. It's easier than saying, I'm exhausted. How do you and I go for dinner if we work together and the dinner is like no work, and really keep it no work? That's harder for me to do it, especially when you are in moments when you're super stressed and exhausted. Really making quality time, it gets harder. Does that work better for you?
To make quality time, or
to make time for each other, to enjoy each other, friendship and presence without talking about work.
Yeah, I think I'm also at a point, and maybe some people reach a point where they like work with their friend where you both do your parts, but then you're not in the beginning stage where everything is like boom, 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 boom. But you both do your parts, but then you both have trust in each other about those parts. And the kind of like the organism starts to kind of like run. And then you talk about like less and less kind of like things as time progresses. And then that leaves other space for you just to be friends. Mm-hmm. But then again, it's hard. Like it depends how big and ambitious the project is. Depends how much you have to do, how many people you are working with, and so forth.
Yeah.
I've definitely had it also with like my previous friend, who's still my friend and ex-business partner, where like at some point we didn't go for dinners or do anything else because we were at the office every day. We had lunch every day. Yeah. So why have to go for dinner? Like, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree with that point. And also to your earlier point about obsession, like if there is nothing else or almost nothing else in your life you're super focused on at the moment or at the point, it doesn't matter who you work with, you're just constantly only talking about work. Yeah. Whereas whether you have a healthy balance of work and other stuff, like you naturally are inclined to talk about stuff that is not related to your work.
Yeah. And there's always time. We always think that there's never time. We have to like be faster with stuff. And I think speed in business like matters to some degree, but there's always time to go slower. There's always time to make time for something else that isn't work and to like slow a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think that also depends a lot on how you define success for yourself. Like if you look at success as purely financially motivated or building up status or whatever that might be, then I would say time is of the essence. Like do the things as fast as you can. versus if you have other values in your life or you define success in other ways that are not only financially driven, then of course, there's so many good reasons for slowing down here and there and focusing on other stuff, whether that's family, just going on vacation and disconnecting from everything for a while, recharging your batteries, whatever that might be.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think to, in general, to like having like little, almost like milestones that you work towards, because I think I often don't like have that. And it makes me think about like my current like work relationship with my friend. We don't like really have a milestone that we're working towards. We're just like, let's just continue doing like better work.
There was something that you mentioned on this concept of we always have more time than we might think. For someone who wants to be a creator, let's say similar to you, wants to do video editing or wants to create content online for people, tell stories, and they feel they're too old or they don't have enough time, what would you advise they start with or they start thinking?
Maybe this is like just personal to me. I don't know if this is a good advice to anyone, but I always try to find some kind of like joy in the things that I'm doing in the first place. So my goal and ambition, if I were to start at like a later age, would not be to have success in it. It would be to enjoy like what I'm making and to kind of like first do it for myself. I think I have this kind of like selfish kind of like aspect to myself where like I have to be happy in the first place. Otherwise, I'm not going to enjoy doing it. I'm not going to enjoy the result. I'm not going to enjoy the process, the journey. So I think having at least like a topic or an idea or something that you like want to create more of is the drive that you need in the first place. If you don't have that, then for me personally, it doesn't work to have like to work towards like something like numbers or making a living out of it or something like that. I think there's definitely a lot of value to like making a living out of it. Although in a certain way, just to purely do social media is getting harder and harder to just make a living out of that. You always need like other side things to turn it into a full-time thing. But I want to be able to kind of, if I were to do it at a later age, I want to be able to enjoy it and to feel like I'm sharing something that I care about and love, and it won't get tiring after a month. But that also comes with experimenting. So maybe stay a little bit flexible, have an idea in the first place, but be adaptable as you go along the way to other ideas that come and be like, it's okay if it evolves. Just like I as a person am evolving, it's okay if it evolves. And hopefully whoever's watching on the other side can like sort of say evolve with you and you become like a little friend and you hold your hands and yeah.
Do you remember the day you posted your first video on YouTube and how you felt about it, the fears, exposing yourself to the public, etc., and how you overcame that?
Yeah, there's a few kind of sides to that. I think the first ever video that I made on YouTube was when I was like 10, and it was a video game called Club Penguin. And I used to do like music videos in Club Penguin. You can like kind of like, you have this like speech bubbles, and Club Penguin is a game where like just like penguins hang out, and like each penguin is a real person. But you can like wear cool clothes and do cool things and play games, and like you could like speak to each other by like writing something in the chat, and then it pops as like a text bubble above the penguin. So I used to do like music videos of like lyrics, and then I used to like dance in different places. So like that didn't feel like exposing myself. That just felt like making something fun and quirky. And then later in like 2-3 years after that, I was doing like magic tricks. So I had a YouTube channel where I was doing magic tricks, and I didn't really have like my face in it. So that was also felt like quite chill. I don't know, but I don't remember it. I do not remember it showing it to my school friends. Like definitely for sure. I think I was cautious with who I was showing it to because I didn't want any feedback from someone who I wouldn't call a friend. That's something I see in a lot of people nowadays, like people who don't want their parents or their family to see certain content. Just make a brand new account and don't add them, block them. Like really like make your own little bubble like world where you feel like you could be yourself 100%. But I guess later on in my teenage years is where I really started to like point the camera at myself And it definitely felt awkward. I think simply I overcame it by just doing more of it, and just by like realizing I'm feeling awkward, but I really want to do it. So maybe like I don't do it in front of people, but I do it in my room, and then like slowly work up the courage to do it in public. But if I have to be completely honest with you, even after like 10, 15 years of doing it, I still get camera shy when I'm recording stuff in public. Like the other day, my friend, we went to like pick up like bicycles for my friend, and I had to record something in public just because for me it was a cool day. I was doing something cool, and I just wanted to document it for myself. And I was at the U-Bahn, like the underground, the subway, and like I just got on the train, and I was like, this is the train stop at which I started my journey in Berlin. This is where I lived in a hostel for 6 months, and where I had like so many side jobs. I was being a city guide, doing tours, and then I was like being a janitor, like cleaning stairs and rubbishes and streets. And this is the station that I would come to like every time after work or hanging out. And I was like, oh, it's so cool to be here after like 8 years again. It brought like memories back. And it was cool. I was like, oh, maybe I just want to record a little moment of reflection at that station. And to make it easier, because I couldn't just put the camera like somewhere there and just record myself because there's like people walking and stuff, I had to put my headphones and like listen to music while I talk to the camera, so I can zone out the out world while still talking to the camera. So even nowadays, I still get like shy and awkward and like, look, there's that dude talking to his camera on the street. Because it's different than just pulling out your phone and being like, I might be on a FaceTime call with my mom or grandma, you don't know. But it's this big ass camera, you're like, it just feels awkward, like, But just, I guess, just doing more of it, or starting from like your room to eventually moving to the street, if that's like what you want to do, then yeah. Or using a smaller camera where it doesn't feel like, you're like recording yourself with a big ass camera on the street and you're just talking to yourself, which feels awkward.
And do you think it's also, I don't know, the fear of judgment from others?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what they might think
like,
about you, like what is this dude doing with his life?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I become very self-conscious in those moments, and then sometimes the self-consciousness gets kind of like translated into the video in terms of like, I'm thinking about what others are thinking about what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is changing because of that. And for example, that one situation where I was like at this station like 1 or 2 weeks ago and having my headphones, I was zoning out the world completely. So I could really just focus on like what I wanted to tell myself, or like reflect to myself or document myself. But there's definitely times where I'm just like, yo, people are listening. Like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, and you can't be yourself. Like you struggle to be yourself. But that's also because I don't really talk to myself in front of the camera on the street anymore. And when I do nowadays, I'm just out of practice. Like, so I just still get nervous.
Yeah. It's so interesting. So does that feel different compared to when you are shooting a video in your room, for example, or in an environment where you don't have people around? Do you feel less fear of judgment?
Absolutely. I know if it's at home and there's people around, I would feel like camera shy, but I wouldn't feel like judged, so to say. But if I'm in my room and like my door is closed and I just have like a moment of insight and I want to record it, it's so easy because I'm less aware that there's other people in the room listening to me. And I think just being aware that there's other people observing you already, for me, automatically just like, again, because I'm out of practice with it, just like changes what I maybe say to the camera. Like I can't just go to my living room with everyone else like working and doing stuff and just be like, so today I felt like a little sad because this and this and this. But if I'm in my room and I'm working, I'm in the zone and I'm in my own bubble, I can just put the camera there, press record, and just go with my own tempo, with my own pace, know that no one's listening. It just feels like more comfortable, I guess. But yeah.
And how did you come up with the type of content that you currently produce? Like, did it evolve organically, or is it something you decided, this is what I want to do? I'm just thinking, let's say I'm someone, I want to start a career as a content creator. I have no idea what to talk about. Or let's say I could talk about everything and nothing.
Yeah.
Like, how do I end up talking about the content that you are producing? Can you walk me through the process?
Well, for me, it was at first the first few years that I was posting on Instagram, I was posting my photo and video work. So any visuals that look pretty, that look like, oh, something that I'm like proud of and happy with, I would post it. But then I noticed after a few years of doing it, nothing really was happening. I wasn't maybe growing maybe in the way I wanted to, but like other work was happening. I was still being a freelancer in this kind of like area. So work was coming in, but I wasn't growing my social media. And I definitely reached a point where I was like, since I was a kid, I've had the dream to be a YouTuber or to like post videos on the internet and for like to have feedback and stuff. And I feel like I have to do it. Like, come on, it's been on my head for so long, but I never had the strategy part to it. And I realized that I have to try this thing that everyone says to like niche down to like a specific topic. And I think I just had a few months, maybe 2-3 months of just like reflecting on this, where I was thinking, okay, what could I talk about that I would like not get bored of? What's something that I talk about with my friends naturally that like it doesn't run out of juice? Like, you know, the conversation just keeps going. And for me, I realized I was just like so obsessed about taking care of myself and about sharing my life and my kind of observations about things and my little moments with my friends. I always loved sharing that and making little stories out of them for myself, and also maybe others people can pick up something on that. So I had to go like a little bit more narrow, and there was a period where at first it was more like slightly more motivational and inspirational videos where I deeply cared about chasing my own dreams, and I wanted to kind of like push people and make people realize that like chasing your dreams is super important. Like in your own, you have one life. I know it sounds like cliche, like YOLO and all that stuff, but like really when you start to think about it, it's kind of wild that like once it's done, it's done. And kind of like to spend my time on something that I cared about was really important. So I took some time, I thought about it, and then eventually I made like a little game plan. I was like, okay, now I'm gonna post every other day, and I have to like maybe pre-film some stuff. Maybe I have to learn how to script. I never scripted anything in my life. Everything was on the go, and then I made whatever on the go I had. And I made a bit of a game plan because that's what I always heard you should be doing. And the game plan eventually worked after a few months of being really, really consistent, and kind of like the numbers really took off. But I had to stick with it. Like I remember doing it for 4 months. Every day I was posting like a new video, and it got super heavy because it was really hard to do that. Yeah. But eventually it took off, and I guess the numbers also like it was like a drug. So I was like, okay, this is great. But the topic, I guess, to your question, I think I figured out through just spending some time on myself and reflecting and seeing what would feel like natural and it would feel like I could do, even just talking with my friends about, and I wouldn't run out of ideas, and like I naturally gravitate towards that interest of that thing. Nowadays it's shifted a little bit. I don't do kind of content that is about, you know, you should chase your dreams and you should care about kind of your hobbies and ambitions. I try to document my life and my observations about things, and through that create videos that are little glimpses of life, of someone's life, that you can kind of tag along with a little bit and see what they're learning, how they're dealing with stuff. And it just feels, from what I've heard, like really honest. And at the end of the day, I feel like now, and even before, I think honesty was always been like a key value and priority to me. If I can be honest, then I don't feel like I'm hiding anything. The hiding something part is where I would start to get a little paranoid or like anxious about stuff, but it doesn't feel too hard to be honest online if I've processed kind of what I'm sharing a little bit. If it's something very fresh, like, oh, I just broke up with my partner, I wouldn't share that immediately, because nowadays, especially as an adult, I know that I'm not open to hearing what the internet has to say about it. But yeah, I'm open to sharing whatever just comes to mind, because I know whatever comes to mind is also just like, yeah, just little things of observations. Yeah.
Is there, because you went through different phases, and there was a phase where you mentioned before, you saw the numbers growing, so you also seeked, or you were paying attention at least to the feedback of people, like the numbers and people resonating with the message. Compared to now, where you're documenting your life and sharing learnings, do you pay the same attention to the numbers that are growing, or has your relationship with the numbers and the response changed?
It has changed for sure. I kind of like stopped making videos for a year, and like all the numbers like really dropped. And I was feeling bummed about it because I was thinking to myself, this is what I've worked my whole life, and I like finally found a moment to, you know, put all of my effort and energy into it, and I really like I did it, and then burnout happened, and I had just had to stop because there was nothing in me to keep going. And after having a year of like a break, there was definitely a moment where it was like frustrating, where I was like, oh, like I built this and now like I don't have the energy to continue. I don't have the same result in numbers. And it was definitely frustrating to a point. So nowadays where numbers are different, I'm okay with it, because for me nowadays what's more important is actually the work that I'm doing in general, not just the work that I'm doing that I am the face of. I think I used to have more attachment to being the face of that work. So these are my insight, my knowledge that I want to share with you. And I think subconsciously I cared about how people perceive me because of that knowledge. I want to be perceived as someone kind and smart and caring and just insightful. And now I care less about that. I care more about the work that is actually being produced, even if it's for someone else. So for example, with Karam's videos that I'm making, they're so conversation and relationship based. And for me, it's again, back to this thing of like, the work feels really, really important. So the fact that I'm contributing to that important work is more important for me than being the face of it. But yeah, I still think about it for sure. Like I post videos and not as often, and they're not as good as they were before.
Good meaning the
numbers wise.
Yeah, numbers wise.
Yeah, to correct myself, exactly. They're not as good numbers wise, and that's fine because I realized I'm happy without that right now. And if it works out, let's see again. If those numbers pick up, then sure, it might act as a drug again, and like I might want to like figure out how do I like make another banger video that like goes viral. I think there's an exciting part to that, but I have to check in with myself and be like, why am I chasing that? Like, what is there within that I'm chasing? Because when you get the numbers, you get the validation. And I really believe that like a lot of people who are artists who make something, a small part of it or a big part of it is because they never got the attention or validation that they had when they were a kid. And so that they want to do work that, is cool, is great, that they're happy with, but they want to feel a little bit of like, good job, you know? So I'm just trying to be careful of like where the validation is coming from and who it's coming from. And
is there a mechanism for you to keep yourself in check and make sure you don't get too obsessed with the numbers? Or maybe to frame it in a different way, if you wouldn't care about the numbers at all, would you still create the same type of content, or do you think it would look different?
It's tricky once you get the numbers, because then something happens in your mind where you're like, oh, this thing that I made works and this is great, and now I can make more of it. But then what you create changes to satisfy the numbers, to get the numbers. So I think there's like a tricky part to that. I feel fortunate to where right now my priority and goal in life again isn't to make my own social media work. I think if that was my priority, I would think about the numbers more for sure. Probably approach it in a more mature adult way than I did before, but it's not my priority anymore, which is why I don't care about the numbers anymore. But if I was trying to make a full-time living just out of that, purely out of my own social media and go back to it, I would really have to check in with myself about my drive and like, what do I do when numbers don't perform well and how do I feel about it? Because I feel like there's a small or big sacrifice that you have to make if you want to make this sustainable in terms of passion and business. And that's kind of the tricky line to walk a little bit, where it's like, like where does it feel that I'm creating something just for it to go viral, and then I'm over time losing this kind of experimentation that comes with creativity, that sometimes you feel like satisfied to try new things and to make something that you really like, but the algorithm doesn't like so much. And that's a tricky line to walk.
I guess also that depends on what is your objective in this moment. As you rightfully pointed out, now you're now thinking about the videos, you're doing it in a different way, where the numbers, yes, are important because in the end, that is also a metric. However, you are looking at the meaning of the conversations and the type of content you're putting out, almost like it seems from what you're saying, that if it touches 2 people deeply, it's better for you than if 10,000 people like it.
Something I'm trying to learn again is I am making less videos for myself, which is where I don't care about the numbers, but I'm making videos for Karam and his YouTube. And those are videos that every video I have a lot of confidence in that being a good story. But the tricky thing with YouTube is that it doesn't matter your video, it matters the title and the thumbnail that you create for that video. And this is where it eats me. Honestly, this is like the most frustrating part for me right now, is because I can make a banger video and tell a really good story. And after I'm done squeezing that out and all those thoughts and thinking, then I have to spend more time thinking about the title and the thumbnail. And I just get frustrated because so much of the result comes from that. And luckily, I have some like numbers to show that like I can make a good title and thumbnail, but not every time. And it eats me because I know I can make a good video, and now I'm trying to get better at making titles and thumbnails. But I guess I just try to do my best and then just move to the next one. Do my best, move to the next one. And I think a good thing with YouTube, for example, as a platform, is that, you know, it still picks up videos that are like years and years ago. So you can still experiment and try things out as compared to like a platform like Instagram, where like the lifespan of certain videos are like a lot shorter than YouTube.
The shelf life of
The shelf life,
Instagram video.
exactly.
TikTok is probably even shorter, right?
Probably, yeah, I'm not on there anymore. But YouTube is becoming more and more awesome because it has like ABC testing with titles and ABC testing with thumbnails. So you can really just like try a bunch of things and see what works better in the percentage wise. And that's really, really helpful, because then you just don't have to count on like one single title or one single thumbnail and change one thing at a time and then like track the analytics, which can get frustrating. As someone who's more involved in the creative process, you just want to do the creative work. But then on YouTube, what matters more is the packaging. So like right now, yeah, I'm trying to get better actually more at the packaging than the videos. I'm confident I can do the videos good, but it eats me that like I can't do the packaging correctly to get to the numbers, right? Because then then people get to click on it, and I know that they will still through the video. But I know that I'm getting paid to also get better, because I know as soon as things work, we can continue to sustain our lifestyle if YouTube works and go even further. And it's eating me that like we're doing work and it's progressing, but sometimes you have an expectation of how fast it should be progressing. So you're like, okay, next one, it's gonna be the next one. But I guess something I'm realizing through this conversation and what I was wondering before is I think I have to sit down with Karam and be like, we need to make it a little milestone, because at the moment we don't really have a goal.
I have so many questions about your experience with YouTube, but like both in like how you're setting these milestones you mentioned with Karam. For example, when you say a milestone, that would be, we want to get to numbers that, let's say, if we release 4 videos per month, would allow us to make this amount of money. Would that be a milestone?
No, actually a milestone, I think for us would look more like we need a goal that we can kind of like work towards and celebrate. Otherwise, there's nothing to aim for except the sky. And I think that's also great. But then you don't really have a moment to stop and celebrate for the thing that you were working towards, because you didn't really have anything specific that you were trying to achieve. And I think in those moments you can have the overworking, you can have the obsession or whatever, because you don't really get to have like a little break and be like, oh, we're like doing really good. We're almost there at that like first goal or milestone. We have a rough kind of expectation of like how much we're supposed to be doing, but we haven't set a goal of like, I think we both know, but we haven't talked about it. Yeah. It's just like, let's make better videos and like, let's like get them as high as possible on views so they can sustain our lifestyle and take us even further. Like that's it.
Yeah. Follow-up question to clarify, when you say sustain our lifestyle, you're saying this is through the YouTube for creator. Essentially, you join the program, you get an amount of money per 1,000 views. Multiplied by the number of views you get, the number of 1,000 views you get, that is actual money that YouTube sends you as a creator. Is that what you mean? Like when you're saying
kind of. So YouTube isn't anymore, I would say, something that you can fully sustain yourself off of, especially where we are in our lives. So when I say sustain ourselves, I mean, hopefully we achieve enough kind of attention through our videos and stories where the videos can almost act as like little promotions for products or stuff that we believe in. And through AdSense, which is like YouTube and Google's way through making money and revenue for you, through AdSense and through promotional content, we can build really a business essentially.
Sponsors, affiliates, or your own products?
Exactly. All of it.
All of it, yeah.
All of it, yeah. Because Karam right now has his Instagram, And through his Instagram and through his partnerships is able to fund me to make these YouTube videos.
That's sponsorships mainly.
Yes, exactly. Sponsorship. And he's currently now making, I wouldn't say products, but he's making his own little events. You can't really call them products, but events and retreats and stuff like that gives back to the people, but also keeps his business like running.
So in a way, it might be non-linear. You don't know how many views you need to get or how many subscribers you need to get, but you know, there is a correlation with the number of people that watch the videos and subscribe to the channel with the financial sustainability part of the operation.
Roughly, yeah. I think we both know like what is good in terms of views and subscribers to where we could reach out to people and have partnerships and kind of like, and there's enough attention to go on those affiliates or on stuff that we're creating so it can drive more people to spend money on stuff that we create outside of the videos and the stories that we're making.
Yes.
Yeah. So essentially we're trying to build a business through our own personal stories and like through events and values that we care about. But yeah, now we're trying to kind of build it also on YouTube, not just on Instagram, which is where he has it at the moment. Yeah.
Reason why you're thinking beyond Instagram in this case, and you're going to YouTube, is what we were saying before, that there is kind of this concept of evergreen videos, or there's less important the shelf life now, how frequent you post. Is that the main reason?
Kind of. YouTube has always been the king or queen in terms of platforms. It's always been the place where people can like make somewhat of a living. You could have never really do that on Instagram in terms of like the base level is just like from the platform giving back to you as being a creator and making the platform even more like used by people. Instagram pays you pennies. TikTok has paid money people, but nowadays it's associated to political stuff anyway. So I'm completely off of it. But the only way to really make money off of Instagram at the moment is to have a large enough following and then to provide back something to the people that people would pay for that can continue like running your thing and build like a little business. And the reason why we're moving to YouTube is because we always knew that that's like at the top when it comes to kind of like the creator economy. And if you build a good podcast or a good show or a good series or a good whatever, then YouTube has the most loyal audience. If you're thinking in terms of like business, maybe email is the most loyal, or like maybe LinkedIn. But like really in terms of entertainment, YouTube I think still is the top when it comes to that. I think if it's changing a little bit, but I think if people are subscribed to you on YouTube and if they're really committed to your content, they will show up to watch the next episode and the next episode, the next episode. Less so on Instagram and other platforms. I think so personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super interesting because I think it's like I've heard like different people that say stuff, but the common advice 2025 that I hear the most is focus on one platform, pick the one where your audience is hanging out the most with, which is kind of logical.
Yeah.
And then try to optimize to grow an audience. And one advice that I'm hearing for the first time this year compared to previous years was the numbers in terms of like the actual size of views and stuff matter less than essentially does your audience wants to pay for the product you're serving and selling. Whether it's third-party products, affiliate or sponsorship, or your own product. I've seen at least 2, 3, 4 creators who, I mean, presumably, that's what they say at least, they are very successful having an audience in the thousands, less than 10,000, as compared to then trying to chase the 100,000 of subs.
Yeah.
To get to a meaningful level. Because I think they're betting for a much higher conversion rate from views to the product that they're selling with a higher value per product. Yeah. And they're saying, I don't care about having even 10,000, I'm happy with 3,000. Yeah. But I know that like 40% of them would buy my product within the next 3 months.
Yeah, it's tricky. I guess it depends on the business that you want to build. I think in the past, it used to be more like, if you're an influencer or someone on social media who has a large following, then you can get companies on board to pay you more money because you have a lot of attention to promote their product through your own stories. And nowadays, more and more people are creating their own things. And so it's okay if they have like a smaller audience to which they can promote that thing. I think really as long as you still try to stay within the kind of like lane of like giving free stuff and just still kind of like giving knowledge or information or like entertainment to people without asking for money. Because I've also seen it to a bunch of people where like they stop making videos, or like more videos start to become just about like selling. And I think that's where you start to lose the people's interest and loyalty. Because it's nice to just go to someone where they're not trying to sell you another thing, and you're just there for the knowledge and entertainment of it. But it is tricky to make a living out of it. Is tricky, but yeah. Not impossible. And also when you I think the smart part is when you're able to integrate it like really well and like sprinkle it here and there, and it's not always all the time. Then you can do really good with it.
Yeah, I think in terms of topics and themes, for example, for your own videos, you mentioned now it's a lot about documenting, and is your own kind of vlog style. It's a documentation of your own journey.
Yeah.
Do you think about specific themes that for you are recurring, that you want to talk about them more than others, or for now it's very free? And maybe you can think about it. The question is related to your own videos, but also with the new project with Karam. Are you guys thinking about specific themes that you want to talk more about, or is free for now?
I want to say it's free, but it's free in a more niche way, sort of say, because I think our goal in general is to talk about how we like feel and observe parts of our lives in a way that just feels like introspective. I wouldn't make content that I talk about like how my business is going and how the numbers are doing and so forth, but I would be open to talk about like how I'm feeling on certain days, or how like I'm dealing with certain events in my life, maybe without getting into the details. But I think it's kind of this kind of like reflecting on your life kind of like content. Sometimes there's little nuggets of information of what we learn. Sometimes it's just like, this is just what I'm going through, and maybe you're a human and you can relate to it, and you can see how I'm like eventually dealing with it. But I think it's just kind of like reflecting on life kind of content. I know that Karam really likes to go deep into certain questions, and his content is also changing a little bit into like other interests or like things that he seems like important in the world that he wants to talk about, especially with his like sailing now to Brazil through the Atlantic to talk about like climate and that kind of stuff. So it's different from what he talks about, which is like relationships, friendships and stuff like that. But he has a platform, so why not like sprinkle it here and there and talk about other stuff that is also important. And I think he's also like looking forward to a bit of a change and talking about something else. But I don't know how like his audience will take it, for example, right? His audience, for example, is very used to friends talking about life kind of videos. And suddenly if there's like stuff about climate, I don't know how they will take it, but maybe that's also my job to find a way to make it like friends hanging out and just talking about climate or something, you know, like find a way to make the conversation like lighter and more approachable than just like, okay, now we're going to talk about climate change. There's like power in the creative in that. And so
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your podcast, or like sort of say like Question Everything, what was your kind of intention when you started it, in addition to having Home of Sound?
For my, so the background for me was that I felt through Home of Sound, to doing the podcast for Home of Sound, how much I like having conversations such as this one, and especially going deeper into the human condition. What are the learnings and the things that any human can go through, like challenges, but also what they learn from it and the specific skills, grew more and more through the 6 years that we've done the Home of Sound. Like we took a break of 1.5 years, but let's say give or take 5 years of podcast. And I started feeling that, similar to what maybe you were alluding to, that the audience that we have in Home of Sound is hyper specific to music. So it's probably 70% music producers, and even more than that is concentrated toward techno and hypnotic techno, groovy techno, which are like two niches of niche in the world niche, you know? You're feeling the niche of the niche of the niche.
Yes.
And which has a double impact, which is the audience is concentrated toward that kind of stuff, and they want that kind of insight, which is, if I were to think about, like, there's part of people that are really interested in the person, but big part of them is I'm a producer. I want to make it as a producer. I want to play gigs like this other person. So want to learn something specific from them that I can use in my life. And I felt the audience is concentrated, and also the type of guests that I have, that the conversation that we're having are concentrated to these topics. I felt I really wanted to have something else, because I felt I've been having amazing conversations with friends, with my close friends, with you as well, with people around me, people that I've met through the course of my life, that I thought, okay, it would be so cool to actually do that and take another angle. And I felt Almost Sound was not the right platform. And in parallel, we were talking about, like, we were in Mexico. I think Mexico, in a couple of occasions, there's a kind of preamble of this, which is once we are at the friend's house party, like birthday party on a terrace, and we are a circle of like 10, 12 people, and this person jumps in. You know, when you're in a circle of people who just met, normally you ask the most random superficial questions, such as, who are you, where you're from,
What do you do?
What you do. Sometimes, depending on the city, Berlin, it's always like, nobody asks you what do you do, but if you're in London, it's always, what do you do for a living?
Who are you?
Berlin is usually, what clubs do you go to? You know, it's very good to see people.
What are you doing this weekend?
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's the main question. That's the main.
How long have you lived here? That's
Yes,
it. How long have you been in Berlin?
Yeah,
that's
are
the
you a
one.
tourist or? Yeah. In this person jumps into the circle, and she asks, what have you learned about life in the last 2 weeks?
Wow. And you're like pattern breaking. Like,
Wow, yeah. That was a huge moment of realization that, fuck, it's a deep question. People really took time to really think about it, and everybody gave a question that it changed the course of the evening, because everybody went into a spiral of deeper questions, and it felt amazing. And then we started actually asking these questions to our friends, and then throwing deeper questions with strangers, and it had a beautiful effect. And that, combined with me wanting to do more the podcast, made me think, okay, let's actually do something together that is about this depth of conversations. That was, and I just, at some point, I had a day job until last week.
you just told me yesterday as well. I was like, no way.
Yes. And most of my colleagues were gonna watch this, my former colleagues. And there was a moment where I thought, okay, fuck, this is like burning. I made this list of I was undergoing some like physical, not very hard shit, but like I was in a moment where my health was not in the right place, and asked myself the question: if I live for another 80 years or for a very long time, what are the 5 things that I would really focus on for the rest of my 80 years? And then I asked myself the same question: if I live for another 6 months only and then I die, what are the 5 things that I would really focus on? And to my surprise, the number one in both cases was exactly this. And I thought, I cannot not do it, you know.
Yeah.
Why would I be the one that I always say to people, just do whatever the fuck you want, find a way to make it work, just figure out a way to do exactly what you want to do. And I'm the one who was doing something that is not like that. So I had to make space for this, which meant, yeah, let's do it. And I had this vision of, I think now for more than a year, thinking, I would love to have a conversation with that specific person and record it, because I think it's going to be super interesting for me and for someone else. And then we started speaking about that months ago, and we resonated with that, and somehow here we are in your living room. And it worked out, and and it's a start, but already it's been worthwhile because we're working together, which is also a big part of the experience.
Nice.
Plus, we get the chance to have these conversations with.
Yeah.
It's really worth it. No, I hope I'm not gonna die in 6 months.
You gotta tell me more after this.
Yeah, I'm more
Like-
more episodes, you know, coming up. But I don't know. It's something I resonate a lot with what you said before, which is also in your videos you said many times, I'm living my dream life, and I think that's combined with the awareness that I want to be not to pass the threshold of overworking myself to try to be driven, because now I had the awareness that came from burning myself many times.
Yeah.
Combining that with doing something I really want to do and really pushing for it while I have the energy, it's just a very beautiful combination. I feel incredibly lucky that I can do that right now. Yeah.
I'm really excited for you.
Oh man.
And for you. For both of you. This is like
I'm
really
excited for the shit.
Yeah. It's funny because when I met you about a year ago, and then like you were in some like one of the groups that we were for this apartment, and I was like trying to find your contact for some, I think I was trying to find your contact to message you. Mm-hmm. You were like saying on WhatsApp that your description was question everything.
Yes. It was not related. I was not thinking at that time about all this. It just like it happened to a conversation we were having, us two and our third co-founder Flaminia. We were at some point we were looking for names and stuff, and there was this moment where I actually watched a video of two guys that they're also creative people. The video is titled "You Can't Just Move to Bali and Start Your Own Business, Quit Your Job and Start Your Own Business." And I was like, this is fucking cool. And then they go through the video, and it felt, I resonated a lot with the message, which was they're dropping their day jobs or their activities from Amsterdam, fucking off to Bali to start their own thing. And I was like, there is something about the title that really resonated, which is this thing of just taking something that is you give for granted, how you should be living life, and then just question it to the point that you say, okay, is it for me? Is it not for me? If it's not for me, I just scrape it. And do something else.
It's hard the scraping part is kind of hard because you have like the foundation, like life is good. Why do I have to change anything? Like, yeah. And you've been in this job for like 9 years. Like that's like more than what people have been in relationships with, or like, like in certain jobs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But amazing that you're both doing this. Like, really, really cool.
See where this goes.
I was literally telling a friend about this yesterday because I had a difficult 2 days, and like, especially last night, some things happened and I was in a pretty bad mood. And this morning as well, I was like frustrating and mad about certain things. But I was like, I have something amazing to look forward to, which is this. And also I'm so, in addition to just being excited about it, I'm so happy to be hanging around people who are like building their dreams or working towards their dreams. Like for me, that fuels me so much and gives me like so much like spark and joy. So it's nice to have like people in my life who like are doing that. And yeah.
I think that's also a big part of what we're looking forward to. Like even in the worst case, if this is going nowhere, we get to sit and talk to people that are inspiring, that have their stories to tell, that we can learn from, that hopefully we can share a little bit of our experience and knowledges with. Like that's for itself is already
just feel like we're just chilling and like hanging out, but at the end of the day, like who knows who will see this and like how it might like give them a little like insight into their day or something just from sharing personal like experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially with this type of conversations, like there is this thing of like the process itself is a big part of the pleasure you get, the meaning from it. For me, it's the kind of perfect, system for, I mean, who knows like what happens in a year or 2 years or 10 years, but I think just when you enjoy so much the journey and the in-between, beyond the outcome, the metrics, the measurable success that you have financially, commercially, in terms of views and feedback from the outside world, I think it's a recipe for happiness, I think.
Yeah. So like, do you think there will be a part of it that you won't be enjoying so much in the future? Like a part of the process of doing this?
I think there's already some parts that I enjoy less, which is like carrying 30 loaded cameras from one part to another.
Cables and extensions and tripods.
Cables, it sucks.
Everything behind the camera on the other side.
That's the part that sucks for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, counter example. So I hate packing or for traveling, and I like being in places with nice people. I hate traveling. Now I'm excited about traveling because I know I'm gonna.
You know, on the other side, what's gonna happen?
It's so cool.
Would you travel for this?
Yes.
Outside of the city.
We are already.
Let's go. That's so amazing. Like, and it's so intentional. It's not like I'm gonna go and hang out with my friend for like a weekend or chill. Like, I'm gonna do a little bit of research. I'm gonna go into this with some intention. We're gonna make something nice, also chill at the same time.
Yes.
And the result can benefit others.
Yes.
No, you can just divide like crazy travels.
And then like, here go the expenses.
Yes. Exactly. No, but seriously, like, I mean, like we were talking about that before, that's like for example, like we might end up being for whatever reason into any place in the world and just connecting with local people, even asking them the question, who is the most insane person you know that lives in this city?
I love that.
Imagine.
I love that.
You know? And they would say, oh, there's this monk that lives in a cave, or this person is a craftsman, or like, it can be the most insane thing that we never heard of, and then you just go and knock this person's door.
Yeah.
Interview them.
More like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. We still have 2 more comments.
Yeah.
3.
We also need to wrap up in the next, I think, 10 minutes or so.
Cool.
Otherwise, I miss my meeting.
Is there something you wanted to like any? I have some questions that I would love to ask you, but is there any topics that you think are important or exciting for you to talk about?
I think in general, maybe like what we started off in the conversation, I hope that me and like everyone included who I'm surrounded with or like maybe listen to this or watch this can always find like little moments where they can indulge in things that don't feel productive. They don't feel that has like an end result and it has like a success rate. Just do it for the pleasure of it.
Oh man, I feel this is something you have to learn.
Probably.
I'm really pushing myself to get better at this.
It's hard, especially like, living in a like capitalistic society where there's always has to be productivity is like the name of the game. Productivity is the currency. If you're not doing anything, you're not contributing to society, you're not valuable as a person. If you're like not spending your time in a good way. I feel it. I
feel my brain has been conditioned to be productive and efficient all the time. And at some point you're thinking like, why?
Yeah.
And it's okay it's okay to not be productive. It's okay to not be efficient like every single day of every single week of your life.
Is that something you've been more openly sharing with people around you, or do you feel like these things now you're becoming?
I mean, first of all, I had to acknowledge it, which only came from taking a little break and just doing nothing. And then realizing, hey, it's actually okay to also just do nothing, because there is a different kind of value to it. That value might not be productivity, but that value might be inspiration, recharging, or thinking about things you never thought before. And it opens up different, areas or passions in your life that you were completely, let's say, isolated from because you didn't even have the capacity to consider them. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow,
too busy.
this is, too busy recognizing that there are so many things that you actually find really interesting and you want to learn more about or do more of. And to me, when I realized that, wow, it's so powerful and it's so nice to just, give yourself that space, not being productive, not being efficient, not having a goal or a to-do list to tick off, which then results to completely different things. And that I think in the past few years have significantly enriched my life and my overall happiness and condition and everything. I'm wondering, why didn't I realize this earlier?
Yeah, but like you said, I guess it has to be like learned. Otherwise, you can't indulge in pleasure or interest in the same way that you do, and you have the same like level of appreciation that you have when you've been through discipline and other kind of like stuff. Yeah.
And I think the awareness is a big. So your personal life journey, but we live in the Western world. I think the world is kind of giving you a lot of validation for being an overworked person, being hyper-productive. That's what is being pushed by media, by both the independent media and influencers, but also like the mainstream media. Like nobody would ever tell you, oh, you should work less. Like in a work environment, if you work for a corporate and you are the last person to leave the office, most likely they will tell you, amazing, I give you a prize. You get a lot of social validation, you get bonus, like incentives in all ways. You get a lot of the influencers, gurus, books, and productivity stuff that tell you, oh, you should squeeze more out of the time. Now, I think we're observing the opposite, where there's a lot of counter movements. I also think that Berlin and our bubble is also influential in a good way, because I don't know, maybe we selected the bubble also based on this, right? But then when you have people that kind of calm you down and then make you appreciate that you can have, that it's okay to take a day off your week, or your weekend should be for you to relax, or you can take an afternoon to lay in the grass. I think the bubble we are in Berlin and our friend circle, who are mostly also like high achieving people and people who are very driven, motivated, and doing the shit, I think it's really helpful, because then you feel, okay, actually I am supported. I don't feel wrong in taking the time off. For me, at least for me, Berlin was a massive improvement in that sense.
Yeah, it must have been crazy going from like London to like Berlin. Like,
yeah. I always wonder, like, what if I had the opposite and I moved to Berlin first and then I moved now to London?
I had someone that just did that. Let's see how they. How they figured it. I'm like, why?
I think it's very intense. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I also think it's not about like becoming more lazy. It's more about understanding like, what are you even chasing?
Yeah.
Because you can just continue doing more and more and more and more and more of everything, like another promotion, another salary increase, another whatever badge you want to put on yourself. But what are you doing it for? Like, it shouldn't necessarily be self-sufficient. It should be a means to an end.
Yeah.
Once you realize, maybe I don't even need all of that. I'm totally content and happy with what I have, or maybe a little bit of this and a little bit of that is something I strive for, but at least I know what I'm striving for. And that maybe helps you just calm down a little bit, and also take the time to, not be efficient or not be productive all the time.
Yeah. Happiness is like you said happiness, I was just thinking how big of a word it is in a good way, because it takes so much to know what makes you happy and like where you're content actually, content maybe is like a better word, because we always like want more. And to be like, I have enough actually is hard to say that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much, so two questions, and that's like a follow-up this, which is what makes you content, and have you found your enoughness now where you are in your life right now?
Yeah, I think I have. I definitely am ambitious in different ways, and I want to continue doing more good into the world and with the time that I have alive. But I'm content with where I am with my skill and with my life, and I have so much that I've like received, sort of say, as a result of what I worked for and by luck and chance and people who I surround myself with. So I'm incredibly really, really grateful. Like, I realize that I'm in a very amazing position, and out of it, I just want to give back more good. But yeah, I don't know if I'd like to think that everyone can get in this position, but realistically, there are of course privileges where I was born, who my parents are, what my passport is, again, like all that stuff. I've definitely like worked so much and sacrificed a lot of like social aspects of life, which I'm trying to get better at now. But I'm grateful for all of it. Wouldn't change a thing for it. And content. Also, I guess content because I've seen both sides, kind of the extreme side and the like nothing side. Yeah, but let's see what else life's bring on. Maybe there will be like another challenge. I think my next other challenges right now that will be like really challenges will be like in relationships that I will have to just like learn how to deal with myself, sort of say, in those like aspects.
Yeah. It's an exciting time of your life.
Yeah. I'm also, I think, something that I've wanted to kind of like get to, and I'm sure I'm there, but it can even be further, is like I want to be at peace with things. I've been meditating for 10 years, and I can definitely tell you that it's made a big impact on me and how I perceive situations or how I see myself on my awareness. I think meditation essentially is just training your awareness to see yourself, to see your like life and all those things. And I think it's given me a lot of like peace in moments where I don't feel like I am like craving stuff. I think sometimes when you're like craving something, you feel like you really, really need it, then you go out of your way to do certain things to get it. And so maybe that extends to not just one thing, but like in a timeline of months or years. And meditation has helped me a lot to be like content and to be like being alive in the present moment is already enough. Maybe that sounds cheesy or not, but then the rest of it is a bonus. The fact that I can have food and water and all of that, that's like, I'm grateful that I have this. And then from there, from that gratitude, I can like build more. But I guess I wasn't always content. I wanted to be very good at something. I wanted to be exceptional. I wanted to be unique. And I guess over time, you just like hopefully learn through difficult experience that that's like on top, it's like nice to get validation and to be good at something. It's important to build a good life with good people around you.
Yeah. It takes a lot of learning.
And wrong friends and wrong relationships and wrong turns and wrong roads and wrong motivations and
Do you want to ask one last question? We do one. You go. Okay. I was thinking a lot about like what would be my last question, and I think I keep wondering this because I think this kind of can be what resembles you in terms of values is if you were to wear a flag, and we're carrying a flag, right? That everybody sees wherever you go. What would the flag display as a symbol or say? Can be a phrase, sentence, one word, whatever it feels like.
It's funny. You said flag. I immediately thought of your red flag.
I'm not it's pretty.
For context, for anyone who doesn't know, like you two have a group of friends, and when you go to events or something, sometimes you have a red flag to notice each other.
It works.
Which is hilarious.
It works. It tends to.
Yeah.
Message.
I'm in between having something say on it and something more abstract that can like people can see different things from it. Maybe just like free hugs.
Free hugs.
Nice. Yeah. I think I give good hugs from what I've been told from my friends, and I don't want to put on the sign like I love you because I think that's a nice thing, but maybe that's a bit too broad. Maybe if someone sees that and they're like, cool, but like I don't know you, so they don't really feel that. Maybe through a hug you can feel someone's like compassion and care like a little bit more, and they can like go a long way, and you can feel the warmth of another human being. Like, oh, there's like good in the world.
Maybe we should try that in Berlin.
I've never had a sign that says free hugs.
You would never?
No, I've never done it. Yeah. But that should be the next thing. Yeah.
On the act.
Yeah.
So then my question would be, what is the one thing you want to do more of this year?
What's one thing I do want to do more of? I mean, the year is almost over, so maybe almost looking into the next year as well. I think to be honest, what comes really to mind, there isn't really one specific thing. I think what I want to continue doing more of is like maintain and sustain like the healthy lifestyle that I have at the moment, because my drive is coming back, which is for me has been really, really important. And my friendships have been like growing and getting better through conflicts that I've had with them in the last 2 years, which have been really difficult. And I just hope I can continue like building this confidence back up again. I feel like I lost my confidence in those 2 years a lot, which you realize once you lose your confidence, you lose like an essential part that like drives a lot of your life, that makes sometimes seem like if you have confidence, it's kind of crazy like how much of life seems impossible, seems like so easy, and like it seems like you can achievable, like possible, not impossible. If you have confidence, you feel like you could do anything. Like it's a crazy kind of like feeling to have within yourself. So I think to continue growing my confidence and hopefully share that with like romantic partners. Beautiful.
Like,
partner. Like
I didn't want to understand it. I like it.
You're like,
let's go.
Correcting myself on that.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I'm curious also to like maybe on a question like for you guys, what is something that you're like looking forward to, that you're like within the next kind of transition of your lives as you're entering maybe a new chapter? It can be both in work and in personal.
For me, transition. This is like one of my objectives, aside from the practical objective that I have with this platform and everything. My biggest objective is to be at peace with myself without need of external feedback and validation. Super important, as you know, especially when you're running your own thing, you could work forever. There's never a time where you say, I clock off. Because you work weekends, days, like every single day of your life, every hour can be workable. You can always feel that you're not doing enough, especially moments when you're not getting yet feedback from outside world. They can be in the form of revenue or customer feedback, appreciation, people sending comments, especially moments when you are still developing, you haven't released something that is fruitful from the audience. I struggle a lot with working like 13, 14, 16 hours, 17 hours in a day, and then still feeling I haven't done enough. So this is the big piece of work that is super important to me. Like really feeling at peace, feeling content with no outcome. So long as I'm doing something that I believe in and I'm happy with.
It's almost related to like having trust in yourself. Like I've put hours. I don't need to like go further for like some reason. Like, you know, I haven't done enough. Like I need to keep going.
Yeah, 100%. It's almost like having a future version of myself. It's like hugging me and feeling, bro, you smashed it today. Great job. You don't need to do it. You don't have that pizza, you know.
And a burger.
So nice. Amazing. Chris, it has been wonderful. Really, really happy we made this happen.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Such a full circle moment.
Yes. So.